Hey gamers, it me, Austin. I have 5 seconds to pick the correct X button or the entire Earth explodes.
Oh god, oh no, what do I pick? Oh god, no!
Wait a minute, hold on just a second. How do we even get into this mess in the first place? Well, our story starts with the NES controller. Before anyone comments, yes, I'm aware of the Atari controller. Fine, I'll talk about it. 1 button. Pathetic. I need at least 2 buttons, or how else am I gonna game at maximum capacity? The NES had 2 buttons and a D-pad, which is pretty much all you need if you're a psychopath. A and B. These are the iconic symbols of the first gaming console to revitalize video games after that damn alien messed it all up. Most of the time, one of the buttons were used for jump and the other was an action button like attacking or even running. The Sega Master System also had no choice to conform to the 2 buttons. But you know what? I can't game hard enough with just 2 buttons. I want more, like 2 times as many buttons. That's not what I meant. The Sega Genesis was, interesting, but more importantly, it had 3 main buttons on the controller. A, B, and C. Okay, we gotta stop with all these letters. I never passed preschool. Seeing the inevitable emasculation of their stupid console, Nintendo hit back hard when they released the SNES, and they added 1 more button for an even 4. And this is where we get the X and Y buttons. Allowing for up to 4 separate controls, this changed gaming forever. Now, we also got the shoulder buttons, but I'm more focused on how we got into this. It's the early 90s. Sony and Nintendo are working together. Sony had been working on a CD-based add-on console for the SNES. All was going well, and it seemed like they would collaborate perfectly until Sony got greedy. Sony wanted to have full control over the CD-based games and take 100% of the profit. Of course, Nintendo wanted a share of that money, but more importantly, Nintendo was fearing that Sony would use this technology to enter the video game market, while Nintendo would be left destitute. So in response, Nintendo secretly spoke with Philips, Sony's main competitor at the time, to simultaneously develop a CD-based system. They never solidified a deal, by the way. The Philips CDI went to fail commercially, but Sony found out and they were mad. And that's when the PlayStation was born into this world from Nintendo. Technically, the PlayStation controller was also born, and it had 4 buttons on the right side, just like the SNES layout. Though instead of speaking American like everyone else, they wanted to be fancy. Instead of A, B, X, and Y, they went with X, or technically known as cross, circle, square, and triangle. Sony's reasoning behind the symbols goes like this. Cross and circle mean yes and no. The triangle is supposed to represent a point of view. Yeah, okay, sure. The square is supposed to represent, get this, a sheet of paper for accessing menus. Alright, but then Nintendo kept going with the N64 controller, gutting the X and the Y button. Apart from that, the only difference is that Nintendo was having a mental breakdown when crafting this controller, and so they added camera controls up here, but that's basically it. Now wait, did you know that Xbox actually got their layout from Sega back when the Genesis was a thing? Yeah, so remember that 3-button controller? Yeah, they made this.
Monstrosity!
6 buttons! Oh my god! A, B, and C. And then the new top row for X, Y, and Z. Now for what's interesting. When Sega moved on to the Dreamcast controller, they actually cut out the C and the Z button, leaving us with the A, B, X, Y format on the Dreamcast. But did you know that Microsoft didn't enter the video game industry with the Xbox? No, they entered it with the Dreamcast. Seriously, in 1998, the 2 companies partnered together to let a version of Windows run on the Dreamcast. Windows CE. This made it a reality to build a game for the computer and then run it on the Dreamcast, though not many games used it. Developers actually preferred the software from Sega most of the time. So once the Dreamcast died, the Xbox rose from its grave with the exact same layout as the Dreamcast controller. And now we enter the 2000s. The Xbox controller is a behemoth! The PS2 controller is the same damn thing as the last one. What the fuck? The GameCube controller brought back the X and the Y buttons that were previously gutted from the N64 controller. And oh man, I can make an entire video about how much I love this controller, but for now, let's focus on the buttons. The point was to center the A button as it would be used most often, with the other buttons having a completely unique feel to them surrounding the A button, so you never had to look down at the controller to figure out which button to press. Now, I would say this is the golden era of controllers. There was no way to mix up the three. Sure, the GameCube did technically have an X button, but it was a whole different shape. I think of it as the kidney button. At the end of the day, these were all great, and they worked together excellently. The GameCube controller was so revolutionary. I wonder if Nintendo still does this layout. What? It's the mid-2000s, baby. The Xbox 360 and the PS3 literally have the same controllers, just without the cord, and Nintendo went even crazier. The Wii is basically its own entity at this point, but it's important because this is the last main controller in modern video game consoles that didn't adopt the standard 4-button layout. Like with the last generation of consoles, you already know which buttons to press on which console, so you weren't gonna get them mixed up very easily. Now, there was the Wii Classic controller lineup, which still had the 4-button layout for retro gaming, but surely after the Wii, Nintendo will keep innovating. Oh man, they got you too, Nintendo? The Wii U gamepad and the Wii U Pro controller adopted the ABXY layout, the one that Nintendo had originally used with the SNES. And this is where our problem begins. The early 2010s is when everything started feeling the same. Yeah, back then the PlayStation and Xbox controllers did have the same layout, but at least the shapes and letters were different. When I think of a square, triangle, or circle, I know I'm not playing on the Xbox controller. But when Nintendo moved back to this layout, everything became the 4 buttons in a diamond formation layout. And what's worse is that Nintendo uses the same letters as Xbox, just swapped around. When I play an Xbox game, I'm pressing X, doing my thing, and then I move over to the Switch, suddenly the layout is flipped. Why did they flip it? But the biggest problem I have is with the X button in particular. Sure, Sony used shapes to be quirky, but this looks very similar to the Xbox's blue X button, which shares a confusing layout with the Switch, meaning that press the X button could mean 3 different things depending on the platform. I feel like Nintendo needs to keep doing something innovative or creative because it's just getting confusing now. And generally, while this isn't the main topic, I feel like game controllers in general are just becoming the same thing. I could morph these 3 controllers and you'd be hard pressed to find a difference other than the left stick position and maybe stuff like the home button. It just feels like we have no more variety. Nobody wants to experiment anymore. How do we even fix this? Bam! GameCube controller. Look, Nintendo, all you gotta do is fix this puny thing and we're good. The GameCube controller was not only the most functional controller, but it's comfortable, unique, and overall people love it. I seriously, actually, genuinely think that this X button issue wouldn't even be a thing anymore if Nintendo just got a little goofy again, maybe even a little silly. At the end of the day, I do still find it pretty interesting how we even got here, but that doesn't mean I'm not gonna complain about it. Maybe in the future we'll have a unified button combo, or maybe Nintendo will come back and give us something crazy, or maybe, ideally, they give us an updated GameCube controller, but for now, I got an Earth to explode.
Alright, I think I know what to do now. I've thought about it, I've made my decision, I think I know exactly what the right move is for humanity. Oh yeah, I had 5 seconds. How did I forget about that?